Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and welcome back to Dual Blades. Yes, in update 3 of Sunbreak, the Dual Blades have had some serious improvements. They've done super well this patch. I'm really happy to say that. There's been the weird, unexpected buffs to Dual Blades in the form of the spiral slash buffs. I definitely didn't expect that, nor thought we needed it, but I'll take it. There's 3 new amazing decorations that are going to be incredible for us. For example, the Teostra Blessing Flame Scale Jewels. These 1 slots will give you Teostra's Blessing, and with just 2 levels of this, you can get an improvement on your fire attack by 10%, or with water and ice by 10% with the Kushala version with the Iron Shell Jewel ones. Also, they gave us an element exploit decoration that's a 2 slot, so that's an incredible pickup. And we have completely new armor pieces that are very relevant, like the Chaotic Helm from Chaotic Gore, or the Risen Teostra pieces. Meaning there's entirely new skills like Powder Mantle, which aren't exactly massively important to the build, but are very beneficial and nice to have, and will change and improve our gameplay in subtle ways. Even the weapon augments are better now. We can get plus 20 on our current element, and we'll have 2 slots free on top of that, so we can even improve our raw damage by 5. Lastly, a more universal everyone wins kind of thing is definitely the melding pot, in which they've added Aurora. This is insane. You can target the main important skills of the game and get what you need, such as attack boost. This means you're able to pretty quickly get a plus 3 or even a plus 4 or even a plus 5 talisman of relevant high level very important skills without too much difficulty. I think this combats the whole PC players who use mods to cheat in their god talismans. Now Switch players and normal PC players can actually get the god talismans in a legitimate non-ridiculous RNG way. So we're going to be talking about lots of stuff to do with these new benefits in this build. Let's begin though. Let's look at the armor set. So we have 1 set for all 5 element builds for your fire, your water, your ice, your thunder, and of course dragon. It's awesome we can do this thanks to the new talisman changes, thanks to a bunch of really important decorations that have been added. It means we can run some of the new higher quality gear that has that really massive slot options in terms of decorations and make the most of it. So that's why we're running the Chaotic Gore helmet. We've got the Risen Teostra chest piece. We're still running the Golden Wrath gloves and the regular Wrath waist, and then finally the Ingot Greaves. The raw skills you get from this set is insane. Now sadly a couple of my armor pieces are augmented, so there's like speed sharpening here that wouldn't be there normally, but what you get from this set is 7 critical eye without even decorating for it, 4 attack boost, random windproof, some critical boost, weakness exploit, a bit of constitution, 1 element exploit, and some burst, and then also we get Powder Mantle, which is that new skill. By attacking continuously, eventually you get the sort of powder effect. For the first 20 seconds it's orange, then for 10 seconds it's blue. In orange you do explosive damage to an enemy that hits you and that consumes the powder, or you get a big explosive burst on an attack that you land while in blue. On the other hand, Strive just increases our damage slightly when we have red health, so if we take a bit of damage and then don't immediately heal, we do a bit more damage during that time. Those 2 skills are certainly something we don't care about and we're not trying to get, but they are benefits and nice to have just by wearing this set. But here are my full skills, the full list of skills that I have when fully decorated and with talisman. We have 3 pages of the stuff. The main things here though are critical eye 7, attack 7, element attack of the correct element, 5, 3 weakness exploit, you want 3 crit element, 3 crit boost. We got 3 out of 3 on the burst as well. And then we have 2 levels of the relevant blessing, whether that's Teostra or Kushala, depending on what element you're running. And the downside of this build is that we can only get 2 element exploit rather than 3 out of 3, unless you get lucky with armor augments. Element exploit will increase your element damage by a hefty amount. It's 10% increase at just level 1. At level 2 and 3, it's a 2.5% increase each individual level, so it's worth a lot less. So missing out on 3 out of 3 is not a massive decrease, but it is something to try to work towards. Here are my decorations so you can see them. This is what I'm running in each individual slot. The slots will change based on what weapon you're actually currently equipping, because yes, of course, you're not going to be able to have the same slots on every weapon. Fortunately, that doesn't matter for fire, water, water, ice, or dragon, but it does matter for the thunder build because we are using the Daora Dual Blades. This annoying pair has no decoration slots at all. So by comparison to the other four, we only have one level of element exploit, so that 2.5% decrease, and the set doesn't have inherent protective polish. Now, as these are dual blades and it's Sunbreak, you can just rely on Iron Shine Silk, and that's generally what I do. However, as a comfy skill to augment your armor for, definitely protective polish for the Thunder Dual Blades. Before we get into armor augmenting though, the talisman. This seems like a ridiculous charm to recommend to you, but in update 3, it is not. This is a 3 attack boost, 1 carving pro, 2 1-slotted talisman. Then we've got a decoration in it for a burst and a decoration in it for a defense boost. This is no longer an unreasonable thing to recommend. What this is considered is a 4 level or +4 talisman. That means you have 3 levels in a relevant skill and then at least a 2 slot to then slot in another level of a relevant skill, such as burst here, for another level. As I mentioned in the intro, the new melding Aurora is insane. To get that talisman, all I did was try to meld attack boost. This took me roughly 12 attempts, and then I got that talisman. Josh got this one in 6 melds. So it is not unreasonable to think you will get a relevant 4-level talisman before long. Just get some melding, get some Aurora crafts in. But of course, there is still armor augmenting to consider. Using this will ideally find a way to get element exploit level 3 into our builds. It'll be that very small element increase of 2.5%, but it is an important increase. To get that, you could look for element exploit specifically via the augmentation, or you could get a skill that you're currently decorating for, which frees up a 2 slot to then get that next level of element exploit. Ultimately though, comfy skills are what you're augmenting for. So anything to help you with stamina like constitution, that could be nice, although I just use an energy drink for that stuff. Protective polish is obviously high in value, as we've said, especially for the Thunder set. Or you could get even better slots like I've just got here with both recovery up and better slots to work in. Next up then, we have the weapons to talk about, which are the same as update 2, I'm afraid. For fire, that means the flaming Espinache Dual Blades. These have a lower fire element than say the Magmadron option, but they have a lot better potential with the attack and 15% raw affinity and incredible slots that open up the build. Also, there's the passive that they have a chance to inflict poison, which can be insanely useful against certain enemies, and it's just in general extra DPS. For water though, it remains the Almadron option. For ice, it's the Kushala option. Dragon's a little bit more debatable, although I still obviously like the Valstrax Dragon option. And lastly, the Daora Dual Blades, as referenced earlier, with their ridiculously high thunder. As always though, not every enemy is mega weak to an element, so in that case you could consider a higher base statted one with lower element. In the case of ice, then Lunagron here would be a great option. For dragon, the Guild Tree 2 is another fantastic pick. For thunder, another great pick is of course the Zinogre. I could even recommend this one over the Daora one if the slot problem is too much of an issue for you. And lastly, Mizutsune is the other pick for water, with lower water element, but yeah, better base stats. So yeah, that second set of weapons I've just shown you, that's for when the enemy has really low element hit zones, if you care that much. The weapon you're probably wondering about is the chaotic Gore Dual Blades. These are not being recommended by us today. That is due to the way that these weapons work, that unique aspect of minus affinity or gaining affinity. It's cool, it is a unique effect, but we have a hefty amount of affinity before we even equip a weapon, and this is overkill when it works. So we think this weapon is best used with the full chaotic armor set, you know, maximizing that strife and berserk style of playstyle, which is very unique and cool, but certainly not optimal due to how invasive it is on your gameplay. That's its own unique build, and that's where we'd probably talk about these weapons. When it comes to weapon augmentation though, this patch has improved things. We have even more slots now. Look at that. 8 slots to work with, which means we can easily grab 6 levels of element boost. That's plus 20 in the element you're using, fire in this case, and that leaves you with 2 slots, which is perfect to work in 1 level of attack boost, which is plus 5 to your raw damage. This is wonderful to have and a noticeable increase this patch. Last up then, we are back on the bench to talk about the math of the build. We're going to compare the old patch build to the new one and see how much of an increase we've actually got here. What we're going to do is we're going to take the Flaming Espinache Dual Blades with our fire build, which is what we talked about in update 2, and compare it to the current build with those weapons. So let's do the raw damage to begin with. Our raw starts at 300 and we have 7 attack, so we're getting a 10% increase there. So 300 times 1.1 is 330. Then we're getting 10 from 7 attack, attack, 15 from when 3 burst is active, and now an extra 5 from our new attack boost augment. That brings us up to a nice 360, but then we've got to consider the sharpness. We have purple sharpness, that's a 39% damage increase, so 360 times 1.39 is 500.4. Last up, we have our affinity, which is now at 100% thanks to the weapons base 15%, 50% from Wex, and 40% from Crit I7. So we actually have over 100%. Then we also have 3 crit boost, so this is 40% increased damage 100% of the time. So 500.4 times 1.4 brings us up to 700.56. Rounded up, 701 raw with this armor set. That's really high, but now let's talk about element, which has had multiple increases with new skills and such. The Flaming Espinasse Dual Blades begins with 41. We have Fire Attack 5, or the Element Attack 5, which is a 20% increase, so 41 times 1.2 brings us up to 49.2. Then we get plus 4 from Fire Attack 5, plus 20 now from our improved Element Boost Augment, plus 12 from 3 bursts, and that brings us up to 85.2. Then we got Purple Sharpness, which is a 25% increase on Element, so 85.2 times 1.25 is 106.5. If you haven't got lucky with armor augmenting yet, you'll still have 2 Element Exploit rather than 3, so that's a 12.5% damage increase, aka 106.5 times by 1.125. This totals us up to 119.8125. These decimals are getting big. We also now have Teostra's Blessing when using fire, so that's a 10% damage increase. So 119.8125 times 1.1 is 131.79375. We still have 100% affinity, but we have 3 crit elements, so that's 15% element damage improved 100% of the time. So 131.79375 times 1.15. That is 151.5628125, aka rounded up 152. 152 on our element. Therefore, our final numbers of the set with the Flaming Espinasse Dual Blades is a raw attack of 701, an element of 152. This doesn't even consider in-game mid-combat multipliers like Demon Mode, which will raise your numbers even more. This is for the weapon in the set specifically. Compared to the old set in Update 2, we've gained 20 raw damage and 26 element, which is fantastic. Not to forget the added benefits of Power Mantle and Strife whenever those are in play. But there you have it. That is the new Dual Blades build for Update 3, the 5 different element options, and the baseline one single set that you can use for all of them. Very nice. My conclusion on that is that in Update 3, Dual Blades has done really well. Multiple new, very useful element-based decorations, and the surprising buff to Spiral Slash, and the benefits of a few of the new pieces, like the new skills we use from that. A 20 raw increase and a 26 element increase is very good for one update, on top of the random extra benefits of Powder and Strife. If you guys have any extra details, information, tips, or whatever, then you can drop them in the comments. You might help someone. And if you've enjoyed this video, then please do drop a like on it, because it does take a lot of work. For now then, that's me, that's Hollow, that's Dual Blades in Update 3. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.